everything that everybody was afraid was going to happen is happening.
It opened last summer, and since then, 911 calls are up near the new Trent Avenue homeless shelter. Tonight, we dive into the numbers and possible solutions.
It's a little cloudier, but enjoy these mild temperatures while you can. Winter makes a triumphant return next week.
I'm Mark Hanrahan. We are at River Park Square tonight, taking our verified team on the road to hear from you, the viewer, in person to see some of the questions you'd like verified.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us here for KREM 2 News at 5. I'm Whitney Ward. Mark is on assignment tonight. In fact, he's down at River Park Square in downtown Spokane, and he's with our KREM 2 Verify team. They're down there answering your Verify questions right now, so we'll check in with them in just a little bit. First, though, we begin tonight with newly released data from Spokane Police showing just how many times officers have been called in to the new Trent Avenue homeless shelter since it opened. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley shares how this increase is impacting neighbors and area businesses.
The Trent shelter opened in September last year, and since then, Spokane Police have seen a major increase in calls for service to this area. So I asked the city of Spokane, how can this be addressed?
In recent months, the Trent shelter has brought a lot more activity to Spokane's Chief Gary neighborhood. And more activity means a growing number of emails.
Yeah, I've only got one right now that I need to address.
Colleen Gardner fields several emails a day from her neighbors and businesses near the Trent shelter, all of which say they're concerned with the criminal activity in the area.
There's loitering, there's businesses whose employees are being harassed, and so what I'm trying to do is be that single point of contact.
As neighborhood liaison to the nonprofits operating the Trent shelter, Colleen shares her neighbors' concerns in hopes of finding a way to mitigate this activity.
What can we do to make this better?
Data released by the Spokane Police Department shows the total calls for service within a quarter-mile radius of the Trent shelter. From the day it opened to February 6th, SPD recorded 890 total calls for service. This is a significant jump from totals pulled from the same time frame in previous years. SPD says of the 890 calls, 79 turned into actual cases.
Crime rates have gone off the charts. The number of calls to SPD is ridiculous.
The city of Spokane says it's working collaboratively with the Salvation Army, which operates the shelter, and SPD to address all this activity.
First and foremost, it's managing expectations to make sure that everybody that's using the resource center has those expectations in mind. One of the things you'll see in the next month or so is the Salvation Army will have a van that's capable of going out into the neighborhood, stopping and talking to people who are camping or who are loitered on the sidewalk and encouraging them to get in and come to the navigation center.
Meantime, spokesperson Brian Coddington says the Salvation Army is beginning to build relationships within the neighborhood. That way they can help address any concerns more effectively.
We've encouraged people to report those things so that we are aware. We need the data to be able to utilize that information to best direct resources.
So in a sense, we can expect continued calls for service near the Trent shelter, along with the emails that come with them. Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
All right, the inland northwest, as we shift gears now, could see much colder temperatures by this time next week. We want to send it over to Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo for a quick look at how much longer we have of mild weather before things change.
3 days.
Okay.
That's it. But when we get there, the cold lasts about a week, and then we're kind of back to it. Maybe. All right, 41 degrees. Starting to see a peak of sunshine from behind those clouds, but keep in mind the sun sets here in just over 10 minutes, or a little more than 10 minutes if we're going to dive into the grammar of this. But here we go. Over in North Idaho, a little bit of moisture coming down, starting to see a few of those showers around Lake Coeur d'Alene and in downtown Coeur d'Alene itself. Up a little higher in elevation, starting to see a little bit of snowfall. And I think tomorrow morning we wind up getting a little bit of a shot. Might even see a few flakes here in Spokane and a little more down across the Palouse. Then it moves up into the mountains. Notice that's in the afternoon, and then as it moves out, we catch a little sunshine, and then As we get into Sunday, another round. That one stays mostly in the mountains. So the next few days, possibility for a little light snow in the morning tomorrow. Sunday, mostly cloudy, mountain snow, scattered showers and breezy come Monday. But by the time we get into the second half of next week, we're talking much colder temperatures. I've got the details in the full forecast.
All right, Jeremy, thank you very much. Now, as we said earlier, Mark Hanrahan isn't in the studio with us today because he and the KREM 2 Verify team are out at River Park Square taking our Verify segments on the road. So he's joining us now live from downtown. Hi, Mark. For those who may not know fully what Verify is and what your process is, tell us a little bit about what this is all about.
Yeah, good evening, Whitney. We are here, as you mentioned, at River Park Square, kind of right at the entrance to the mall right here. As you talked about the mission of Verify. All right, Verify is a segment where we take a question or claim that we get from you, the viewer, that's maybe popular online, you're seeing maybe on Facebook, and you're wondering, is that really true? Well, we try to take that claim or question and go to the relevant experts in that field and get you a definitive answer. Like, is this true or is it not true? A lot of misinformation out there these days, and we're trying to get to the bottom of it and find the truth. So our mission to Verify is to separate fact from fiction, from claims made online, social media, in speeches, or even in the news. We want to do our part to stop the spread of misinformation. With the rise in social media use, it's easy to get lost in all that misinformation or disinformation out there, and we want to help our audience to be more informed and responsible news consumers. Our Verify process has a few steps. After receiving a question, our team begins the research. In Verifies, we make sure to use a minimum of 2 sources. We go to who we believe will be the best experts to give their insight on that particular topic. We make sure to use only vetted sources. Those are sources that have been found to be reliable, like a peer-reviewed study or an expert in their respective field, or the actual source itself, like the author of a study. We want to give you a quick look now at a recent example of a Verify we did. We received several questions this winter on the topic of snow tires. People reaching out to us to say, do snow tires really make a difference when driving in winter conditions like packed snow or ice, maybe compared to an all-season or all-terrain tire? So we took that question to the experts to find you an answer. Do snow tires really make a difference? Our sources are, for this one, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, a Consumer Reports comparison of winter tires versus all-season tires, and a report conducted by the Washington Department of Transportation and the State Transportation Center. The NHTSA put it simply, winter tires are more effective than all-season tires in deep snow. The Consumer Reports comparison found that winter tires stop the same car roughly 20% faster than a car with all-season tires. And in another study, studded snow tires and studless snow tires outperformed all-season tires in nearly every comparison.
What winter tires do very well is that when it gets below 45 degrees, they remain flexible, where a lot of these all-weathers, all-terrains don't. So you lose that flexibility, takes away from your traction.
So aside from staying pliable in cold temperatures, Howard, that gentleman you just heard from, he says winter tires also have deeper tread and what's called siping on them to give you added traction on things like packed snow and ice. So we can verify that winter tires do give you more traction in snow and ice versus an all-season or all-terrain tires. So if you have something you'd like us to verify, you can reach out to us in a couple of different ways. You can shoot us an email. It's verify@krem.com. Just write your question that you'd like verified in that one. Or even simpler, perhaps, send us a text message to our text line. That's 509-448-2000. Send us your question on what you'd like verified. We can start digging into that. Or if you're down here in the next hour or so, we'll be here through our 6 o'clock broadcast, so you can come here in person and ask me that question directly. In the meantime, Whitney, reporting live in downtown Spokane, I'm Mark Hanrahan for KREM 2 News.
Sounds great, Mark. Thank you very much. Well, in other top stories tonight, a Spokane Valley man is in jail tonight accused of raping multiple young boys and slipping pills into their food. 61-year-old Patrick Cabeza made his first court appearance this afternoon and is now charged with multiple counts of child rape and assault. The sheriff's office also believes Cabeza, who also goes by the name of Joe, may have had contact with other young boys who haven't reported anything yet. So investigators are asking anyone who had contact with him or knows anything to please come forward. Washington Governor Jay Inslee met with researchers at WSU today as they are looking at hemp as a way to help the state's housing crisis. Governor Inslee heard how the fibrous part of the marijuana plant is now being turned into building materials like insulation, flooring, and cement-like blocks. Researchers say it's a cleaner, healthier alternative to materials like cement and can also speed up the building process.
we ought to be willing to take a lot more risk in the developments of this industry and every other clean energy industry than we were in a new type of consumer product, because we have to solve this problem. So we as a state ought to be willing to take more risks for new technologies and new products, this amongst them. That's how I look at this.
Governor Inslee is visiting Whitman County today to talk about green jobs and the economy. And coming up tonight on KREM 2 News at 6, we'll take a closer look at this growing industry. And tonight in our continuing Boomtown coverage, we are taking a deeper dive into the North-South Freeway project, what KREM 2 has learned about its latest effort to make sure that project doesn't stop.